President Bola Tinubu explains his vision for Nigeria with key international partners on the sidelines of the Paris summit as the president's political supporters woo more opposition figures to join hands with Nigeria's new helmsman in nation building. The new leadership of the House of Representatives parleys with the APC governors as a new era of administration takes off. Also on political update today, the main opposition PDP says it remains one indivisible family with its eyes firmly on its target. Intrigues begin to play out in the South state up for governorship election in November. And on the foreign scene, they say nothing is free in Freetown. But the city is hoping for free and fair election as a fair payment for its struggles for freedom. We have details of this and more on our lineup. I am Fisayo Ogunfuyi. Welcome. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigeria's development partners that the removal of fuel subsidy and streamlining the exchange rate will be sustained to ensure a more competitive economy, which will attract foreign direct investment. The president made his comments when he met heads of African Export and Import Bank and the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.
The sidelines of the summit for new global financing, President Bola Tinubu in separate meetings assured the delegation to stimulate the economy with policies that support investment in areas of Nigeria's competitive advantage, particularly agriculture. With reforms for national survival, the federal government will take courage to reposition the economy, calling for more collaboration to solidify the economy. Afrexim Bank President commended President Tinubu for the bold step in removing the fuel subsidy and unification of the exchange rate.
We also then looked at what support we could continue to give to businesses and banks under the environment, and as well as to NNPC as they implement the new pricing regime for oil products. He reaffirmed the support of the government of Nigeria for the bank and also for continued active engagement with us. So we are really very pleased with that because it paves the way for us to continue to do what we are doing in the country.
The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development President, Ronald Basso, said the bank will focus on the private sector, especially small and medium-scale enterprises.
And back home, Project Rescue Nigeria, a non-governmental organization, is urging Nigerians to be patient with the current administration in its desire to make life better for all. The group says the early moves of appointments in the security and other key sectors indicate focus and patriotism.
And when you look at
Project Rescue Nigeria team is born out of the increased need for a platform that will coordinate the activities of various interest groups who are calling for integration, sustainability, equity, fairness, as well as promoting national unity and cohesion. This media briefing is part of their efforts towards working to engender peace, unity, as well as provide support and defense for grassroots democracy in Nigeria.
Mr. President has actually demonstrated that political parties are mechanisms used to usher politicians to power, but thereof the country must remain one indivisible entity with a common goal.
While urging the support of opposition political parties to the present government, the team lauded Nigerians for their patience so far with policies which might at the moment cause little discomfort, but which would at the long term produce good for the benefit of the nation.
In the same vein, the coalition of civil society organizations for the Tinubu Shetima has appealed to opposition political parties to help in building a government of national unity. The coalition says the success of President Bola Tinubu is for all Nigerians.
Members of the coalition have paraded themselves as ambassadors of the government of renewed hope, which they believe is taking the right steps towards accelerated relief and reassurance of hope for Nigeria and entire African continent. President Bola Tinubu's action plans executed so far, the group agreed, are a clear evidence to promote a government of national unity.
The goal here is to put Nigeria on the path of prosperity, and this is what the president is doing already. So if for real, the reason why these candidates are out, or the reasons why they came out in the first place, was to ensure that they give Nigeria the government they deserve. Now that we have the government that they would have wished to give to Nigerians, I think it will only be fair and selfless for them to come and synergize with him, merge force with him, make their contributions when necessary, so that we can move Nigeria to the level where it ought to be.
The group was emphatic that President Bola Tinubu is already displaying potentials to reunite, revitalize, renew, and reposition Nigeria for breakthrough to an uninterrupted era of progress and prosperity.
It's just a little over 3 weeks since the advent of the Tinubu presidency, and needless to say that he has not been vacillating in putting his stamp on the workings of state machinery. Many say the decisions taken so far have been brave and necessary. Former lawmaking and development climate change expert, Honorable Sam Onuigbo, joins us today. Honorable, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Now, these past 3 weeks have flown by. The flurry of decisions have left some breathless. Are you satisfied with the pace?
Yes, Fisayo, I am satisfied indeed. And it is out there for all to see that the president means business. So you see, the Igbos have a proverb that what you are wearing on your wrist, you don't need any extra sight to see it because it's right there. So from the decisions that he has taken, I think we are on the right path. And it's not just a momentary thing. You talk about the subsidy removal, which several attempts had been made in the past to remove it, but he failed. But he was able to do that. And of course, I know that the initial pains are there. But as we move forward, I know that the gains from the subsidy will be transferred to health, education, infrastructural development, and even increment in salary and the welfare of all Nigerians. There are other decisions like changing the service chiefs, which means these people now know who appointed them to their positions. And of course, they are going to work to be able to prove that they merited, the positions before they were appointed. So, all in all, I think there's momentum, and the momentum is in the right direction. Of course, you can also see what is coming from the outside world. They are looking towards Nigeria now with renewed interest.
All right, now some have said that these are initial quick wins, and some say we should not be overly excited. Do you agree?
Well, I have made a point. Removal of subsidy is not a day's job. Several people have tried and failed, even when it was done in bits. The issue of unifying the rate of exchange, that is something that, had actually bled the nation for a very long time, because it provided opportunities for just a few people who had access to the official rate to make so much money at the expense of those who are manufacturers or those who are in the real sector of the economy. So these are not just for the moment. There's things that we know are not only going to be enduring, but have the potential to encourage people from particularly foreign direct investors to come in and invest and take advantage of our immense potential as a nation, both materials, human materials, other resources, mineral resources, and of course the opportunity to really, really grow the nation, because this nation is in dire need of so many touches to be able to catch up with the rest of the world. So it's clearly in the right direction.
Honorable, the president is in Paris, if you saw those reports at the beginning, for the new global financing pact with focus on the cascading consequences of concurring climate, energy, health, and economic crisis. What are your expectations from this first outing?
Well, my expectations are really, really high, and from the feedback we are getting, it is positive, because major multilateral agencies have really come in person to hold meetings with him. And from the report that we had from Dele Alake yesterday, last night, even some heads of state have also indicated that they would like to meet with him. So what this puts together on the table is a positive sign for a nation that is in a hurry to really move in the right direction. So it's quite encouraging for me that he was able to attend. And then given the challenges that we are experiencing from climate change and the after effect of COVID-19, there's no other time, there's no better time to really take a very close look at the things that are holding the developing nations back, like the interest rate that they pay and lack of access to finance to be able to handle developmental issues. So these are the things that need to be looked at again because of the Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, that have been there for nearly 80 years now with almost the same system of financing. They need to be looked at to see if we can find ways of improving things for developing nations or poverty-stricken nations, because the impact of climate change and the loss of livelihood means occasioned by desertification and other problems. These are things that need to be addressed in a way that we have sustainable development, not just for a few countries, but for the entire world.
All right, before I let you go on those, thoughts, you have woven quite an intricate web in terms of how desertification, climate change has impacted us in such a way that it has also led to the escalation of these clashes that we've had, locally in Nigeria. And of course, being someone who sponsored the bill for the Climate Change Act, which is, of course, is law now successfully in the 9th Assembly, creating a scenario, also looking at the funding that is being promised by the UN Secretary General, $500 billion annually. How do we, perhaps key in and make sure that we are not just bystanders?
Well, thank you very much indeed. It is clear to everyone now that climate change occasions a lot of problems, whether it's coming from, desertification, climate change directly, biodiversity, or what we used to call the Rio triplets. Those are issues that we are living with today. I am not going to be carried away by the high-sounding amount by the Secretary General of the UN. The reason is because we have to be a bit cautious. In Copenhagen, when they talked about 100 billion, per annum, I know $100 billion. I know that even up till now, we've not received much of that money. So mentioning the amount is one thing. It raises hope. Being able to access that money to be able to take care of these challenges that are facing us, that are real. I would always say that in the past, people say, okay, climate change is fine, a warning shot. Nobody's talking about warning shot now, because if you go at least 11 states, when we are talking about the Great Green Wall, within 11 states here in the far north are directly impacted, and that covers about 1,351 kilometers. And the impact has led to people losing livelihood means, pushing downwards. In fact, it has even affected the drying up of Lake Chad. And those other areas now have almost been so devastated that the areas where they used to farm previously have now turned to dust. We truly need this money in a genuine manner, in a collaborative manner, so that we can attend to the impacts of climate change. We do not emit so much. Africa emits less than 5%. But those who are greatest emitters, they need to bring money, because climate change is borderless. Pollution is borderless. The impact of what we are doing either in the United States, in China, in Brazil, in India, they are all affecting us here. So it's a good thing, a great thing, a welcome development that he mentioned that amount. But what is more important is that this summit that is holding, that has held in Paris, should be able to bring out key policy lines to be followed as we go for climate change conference later this year. And then out of that, get something. Because last time we talked about loss and damages. And I don't know how much money they've been able to put out now to be able to compensate for some of the damages that we're experiencing. These are things that have to be properly coordinated. Then on our own side here at home, we need to make sure that we truly enforce the law, the acts. Implementation should be so, so well coordinated and executed so that we don't leave gaps, so that we'll be prepared for what is coming to us in terms of investment from outside.
All right, let's move on now very quickly to some other political stories. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, says his mandate is to strengthen the legislative arm of government to promote a pan-Nigeria project that will lead to good governance and political stability. The Speaker led some members of the 10th House of Representatives on a thank-you visit to the Progressive Governors Forum.
The Progressive Governors Forum, like other stakeholders, has supported the choice of Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu for the speakership and deputy speakership positions of the 10th House of Representatives. This is a thank-you visit to the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Governor Hope Uzodimma of Imo State, in view of the strategic role the APC governors played towards the victory of the Joint Task Team.
But you have set the ground now. It is up to us to really start the Nigerian project. And we are very ready, we are very willing to do the job the way it should be done. We'll be part of this renewed hope with you, with Mr. President, with all Nigerians. We are willing to deliver.
God will give you the wisdom, knowledge to work together, not to betray Nigeria, but to work collectively to advance the cause of our history and development. So at the end of the day, history will vindicate all of us. What is important is that at the end of the day, we can sit back, beat our chest, say at least we were part of the story.
Governor Hope Uzodimma urged members of the Joint Task Team to collapse their campaign structure and carry along all members of the House of Representatives to provide the necessary legislative support as critical partners in delivering the renewed hope mantra for the good of the citizens.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, says it remains one indivisible, strong family. The party made the stance at an interactive meeting of the National Working Committee and some selected members to deliberate on crucial issues in the party.
This is the first official interactive meeting of PDP members since after the conduct of the 2023 general elections. It affords members the opportunity to review their performance in the elections and forging the way forward.
Anybody that is in this hall today is in this hall by the virtue of the fact that he meant well for this party.
Frankly, I didn't expect that we still have this number in our party. I want to congratulate all of us that we have faith in this party.
The word of advice to party members not to despair, but keep their faith alive in the party remains the central message of the meeting.
This meeting is not a National Executive Committee meeting, but an interactive meeting with the aim to jumpstarting a reconciliation process.
Some former governors and leaders of the party from across the country attended the meeting.
Now, as the race to the 3 government houses in November gathers momentum, the All Progressives Congress APC Bayelsa State Chapter has appealed to the public, especially Bayelsans, to disregard campaigns in some media outlets to discredit its candidate, former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timi Pre-Silva. A statement signed by Bayelsa State APC Chairman Barrister Dennis Otiotio Odoni says individuals outside the party are masquerading as party officials in a bid to mislead the public on their choice in the November governorship election in the state. The statement adds that the party is aware of moves by other political forces in the state to embark on a campaign of calumny against its candidate instead of presenting their programs to the people. It warned that such moves will not subvert the will of Bayelsans in their quest for good governance. And from beyond our shores, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has deployed one of its largest observer missions to monitor the Sierra Leonean general elections this weekend. Our own Charles Alpha is in Freetown, where a free election has become the single prayer.
There has been a bit of anxiety in the air in the last few days. And what the ECOWAS Election Observation Mission is doing as part of its mandate is to douse the tension and steady the tides of the democracy that is making steady progress in Sierra Leone. First was the meeting of its election observers, members of the National Security, representatives of the Political Party Regulations Commission and the African Union.
So as Africans, we want Sierra Leone to conduct a peaceful, democratic, fair and free election.
Head of mission Mohammed Ibn Chambers believes Sierra Leone has long moved from bullets to exercising power of the ballot and wants stakeholders to consolidate on these gains since the country's independence by deepening the peace and, more importantly, provide equal grounds for all to exercise their voting rights.
The last few days, we saw a rise in tension. The opposition raised some issues that were of concern to them, but there was efforts by national institutions to engage in mediation between the opposition and the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone in particular. And we are happy that although all the issues may not have been completely evacuated, at least they were dealt to the satisfaction of the opposition such that the elections will go on.
That has been political update, but before we go, Honorable Samuel Nwigbo is here, still with us. Honorable, finally, the President, is now meeting other leaders after his victory. And what are your expectations very quickly before we let you go, now that, the process has started in terms of international relations as well, and the promises in the Hope Assured agenda?
Is hope really being restored? My expectations are truly high, and I have no doubt whatsoever that Mr. President will keep the momentum that he has started with, because that's what has excited, members of the international community, the investors outside of Nigeria, particularly to see that the subsidy has gone, and more importantly, that we have a unified rate of exchange, so that if you make money, you'll be able to return whatever money that is coming from your investment. So everything is looking well, and I do not see any reason to have any doubt. Hope has really been restored.
Thank you very much, Honorable Samuel Nwigbo, and of course for you for watching Political Update today. That's been the package for today. We'll be back again on Tuesday for a fresh package. My name is Fisal Ogunfe. Thanking you for staying tuned. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and don't forget to keep it locked on the Nigerian Television Authority and play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.